Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lilia Soares and you're watching me, Lilia Soares. I'm using this mic and sometimes this mic can be a little bit iffy. And also please excuse the way that I'm talking right now if you can, because I got my wisdom teeth taken out about 3 weeks ago or so now. I don't know why, but my mouth is getting a little bit better, but my chin is still really sore. Not sore, numb. It's numb all in this area still. And it's gotten a little bit better, but it's honestly really hard for me to talk still sometimes. Kind of giving me a lisp, I'm not gonna lie, which is fine. But I'm just saying, disregard whatever. It's been quite a long time since I've made a YouTube video. I was doing my makeup earlier, and it's hard sometimes because in my brain, like when I'm sitting here, and if you've ever pretended to be interviewed for a talk show, like, do you know what I mean? Like, if you've ever done that just in your spare time, like as a kid or just in general, like just pretending. That's kind of how I act in my brain sometimes, or like how I'll get prepared for YouTube videos. And then I sit down in front of the camera and I'm like, how was I picturing this? But I was doing my makeup earlier and I just got this thought in my head of it doesn't have to be perfect to be valuable. This video in itself may not be perfect. It probably is not going to be perfect, but that doesn't mean that it's not valuable. That doesn't mean that it doesn't have value and that it's not going to help somebody and change somebody's life and help motivate somebody else to do what they've always envisioned to do. I've taken a very, very long break from YouTube, and half of it was just because there was like so much going on over the summer. And like I said, I had just gotten my wisdom teeth taken out a few weeks back. So that just really put me into a bit of a depression. I am somebody now where I've learned in my brain that like if I do not have structure, if I do not have a basic routine, like especially a morning routine, if I do not have the morning routine that I've set in place for myself, then my day's just kind of like all out of whack and I'm just like, okay, what do I do now? I've built up the discipline to be like, okay, no, like I'm working out pretty much as soon as I wake up. I'm eating a healthy breakfast. I'm doing XYZ in order to set up for. Honestly, I do all that in the morning so that after 12 or after the end of the day, if I want to just sit back and watch TV all day, like I can. I've allowed myself to get to that point. But with that being said, there is still something in the back of my brain, in the back of my head of having that drive and endurance, I suppose, to want to go after my goals. I want to change my life. Like, I want to change things around, like I do live with my family and, I'm getting up there, like I'm getting dang near 30 years old. And the other day, my something or other, none of y'all's business, but he was talking to me and he was like, what would you do, like, what if our son, like, lived in our house until he was 30 years old? And I was like, hell no, kick that man out. But then I was thinking about it and I was like, girl, you're almost 30 years old, which is fine. Like it's not that there's like, and I'm so sorry if there's people who are like living with your family still and like you're 30 years old, you're above 30, blah blah blah. Like, don't get me wrong, like I've seen it because I know that at one point both my uncles had to come live back here again and they were probably like mid 30s, something like that. Like, in a way, like I definitely should sit back and be grateful for the fact that I can come here and that I am here and that I do have somewhat of a stable place to at least get my feet up on the ground, get my feet back on the ground, whichever. It's just not what I see for myself and what I want for myself deep down. And it's what I hope that my son doesn't have to go through. Well, honestly, who knows? Because like I'm not even like talking like house hunting, like just apartment hunting within itself is so crazy, so expensive. Even just looking up apartments that I used to live in Madison, they've practically doubled on their rent from what I used to pay not even like a year and a half ago. It's insane. But whichever. This isn't about that. This isn't about living here until you're 30 or whatever it's going to be. What I am trying to say is that I do have dreams and goals for myself that I would hope that I can achieve before 30 years old. But if I can't, I can't. And that's not to say that like I won't ever achieve them. That's just to say that the timeline's going to take a little bit longer than other people, especially when you're online and you're sitting back and you're watching other people's progress and stuff. It does kind of get you, I was gonna say like it gets you in the butt, but like what am I trying to say? I guess it does make you feel unmotivated or so, or it makes me feel unmotivated, I guess, when I see somebody achieve some things and it's like I come to find out that they're so much younger than me. But, in reality, it's like I shouldn't be, and it's not like I'm judging them or like I'm jealous of the fact. I guess it's just more so it helps encourage me. Deep down, it does help encourage me to be like, okay, you need to get up and you need to do this. I guess to bring it all back around, our intentions and the way that we move is so valuable. The way that we go about our day to day is so, so valuable. And you need to realize that if you don't. And that was my issue. I spent so much of a majority of my early 20s, early teens, just like not thinking about the future because I was just so, like, to be honest, like, I didn't think I would have a future, I guess, like, do I even want to bring this up? Like, I don't know where this is coming from, but like, to be very point blank honest, I have been suicidal most of my life, still continuing within my life. I don't even know like where this is going. Like, but I'm over here just trying to go with the flow of it and just talk it all out. And like I said, I know that by no means is this video going to be perfect, but that's the point. That's the point. That it's like, if I'm just going to sit here and try to nitpick and try to find the best way to do a video and to create content and make it like the best thing, I could like work 10 hours on this video and edit it to perfection, to what I deem perfection, right? And next thing I know, it's got like 2 views. And it's like, oh, that's really disappointing because I worked so hard on this. Like, what do you mean? Like, I feel like it's perfect. How do you, like, why is everybody else not seeing the way that I've perfected this craft or like the way that I've, put my heart and soul in this video? And that all might be true. But 9 times out of 10, as we've all seen, it's always the ones that like you just kind of slap together and you're like, whatever, nobody's going to care, is the ones that end up being like the ones that people care about. Because a lot of the time we're missing that authenticity. We're craving people to be real, because I think that's what sets us apart now, especially on the internet, is that there's just too many people like trying to like curate a certain vibe, and they're not showing their real selves. I'm doing all this talking and I feel like this is like, I don't know, but even if this ends up being a short video, that's okay, because that was another thing that I feel like I always really got in my head about when I was making YouTube videos back to back, is that I really wanted to do at least like 30-minute, 25-minute videos. And right now I'm only at 12 minutes, and editing this back, if I don't cut out a lot of stuff, I might end up with 10 minutes of footage. Just the fact that I'm like sitting here and I'm trying means something in the world. That is what you have to understand. The way that you are, point blank, is already perfect. But when you sit back and you realize things about yourself that maybe you don't like, and maybe you don't want to continue being that sort of person, your imperfections that everybody has, you can take the time to change them. The thing that I'm stuck on in the back of my brain is how I just randomly started talking about how I was suicidal and stuff. Sorry for that, if that's like upsetting to some people, but it's just because it's the truth, like it's the truth. I have struggled with my sense of self and my sense of purpose for a very, very long time. I mean, duh, if you've never seen me before and you've never been to and you've never watched any of my videos before, I have BPD. And obviously, if you have seen my videos, then you're like, okay, now I can kind of start to see what you're talking about. But at the end of the day, you really just have to try. You really just have to try. You really just have to put in a little bit of effort. Because even yesterday, I was doing so many things. And then if you really, really know, and you've really been watching my videos and you really pay attention, or if you just like know me personally on a deep level, you know how much I've talked about music. And yesterday, I went on YouTube and I found 2 little, like just random beats that I saw and listened to, and started, feeling around for them, making up little words, because that's another thing that I like realized and I didn't understand, I guess. And I think that's where I was too in my head about it, because I guess when I always thought of like, the big artists and like rappers and singers and everybody going over a beat, I always thought that they like just knew the lyrics right off the bat and they would be like, okay, this is that, and like blah blah. And obviously like that does happen sometimes where you can hear a song and you're like, no, I know this whole song directly, and like you get a good freestyle going. No, like majority of the time, I realize that it's actually just people being like, like just kind of trying to feel against the beat and like get a vibe and like a melody going. So once I learned to accept that, it also became so much easier for me to like just play around with a lot of things. But like I said, after such a long time, again, because it's just something that I've been putting in my back pocket, and I don't know, I guess Just like I said, everything with over the summer and with my wisdom teeth and all that stuff, and like just getting in my head, like, I don't know, being in my head and being in your head, I'm sure if we're, on the same wavelength here, is not a good place to be. It's not a good place to be because what is that doing for you? What is that offering into the world? Nothing. So when you sit there and you're just overthinking like every little thing, you've got all these creative ideas, but you're not doing anything about it. You're just clogging up your emotions. And then you're going to start building up resentment and you're going to start lashing out on people when really at the end of the day, it's because you didn't take the time to go paint. You didn't take the time to go write. You didn't take the time to listen to music and get influenced by XYZ. You didn't take the time to go dance. You didn't take the time to go take a walk. And that can't be on anybody else but you. I think I'm going to wrap this up here. Thank you so much for watching if you did. Even just sitting down and making this video and taking the time to edit, upload it, blah, 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 all that stuff. There's been so many times where I make YouTube videos where like I'll be sitting here doing all this, filming it, I watch it back, never upload it. Like, honestly, just the intention behind it is enough to show the world, show universe, show God, whichever you want to pray to and believe in your faith in, that you are serious about making moves towards the person that you want to be and like the goals that you have. Just keep doing it, just keep showing up. And like I said, it does not have to be perfect in order to be valuable, because I guess what I want people to take away from all this is that some people aren't going to see your value right away. If you put a Lamborghini in front of somebody who has never seen a Lamborghini before, honestly, they're not going to care. They're really not going to care. It's not until like you tell them like, oh, this is worth this much amount, blah, blah, blah. It comes with this features, blah, 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 this, like, this, that, XYZ. Then they're going to get that idea planted in their head and be like, oh, this is something that holds value. This is something that I should care about. You need to market yourself in that same way. Even if you're not at 100%, that doesn't mean that you're not still valuable. That doesn't mean that you don't deserve to have a space at the table like everybody else. Because you got to go in there, you got to put your foot down. You got to be like, no, this is me. This is who I am. This is who I know that I can become and be. And the right people are going to want to invest in you. Okay? It's like, I should have started with this. That it's all an investment at the end of the day. Okay? I'm sure there's plenty of penny stocks that we all know about. Like even just the whole, I guess, AMC thing that happened a few years back. Started at a low stock and then boom, skyrocketed. If you know your value and you know you're worth so much more, make sure that you throw that out there and that you get other people to see it, because the right people will see it and they'll be willing to invest in you and they'll be willing to help you and watch you grow. Honestly, the right ones too, with no strings attached, just because they also want to see you succeed. And those are usually the people that understand you and have your best interest at heart and get where you're coming from. Like I said, other than that, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so that you don't miss out on any other future videos. And I will see you all in my next video. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, guys.